So here I am, proposal for an alternative monument to memorial to the victims of communism. Again, here I have all my stuff. This is what I consider as my monument, in a sense, my what I'm gonna be trying to put together and recreate my memory, my past, and how. The question is, so how can we place an alternative proposal for the monument of communism that's about to be set up? I thought to approach this work or this proposal through looking at myself, through my identity, as a Canadian, as a proud Canadian, as also an immigrant and a child of immigrants. What does Canada mean to me? Here you have a flag. Here you have my flag from back home. Here you have some of the things that I could sort of who I am truly. There's my baby picture. There's, again, when we first became Canadians, or a card. Here's my passport. Again, going through memory lane, I brought some of the things that will kind of enlighten me into the past and how I got to this country, and what does a monument or a monument in Canadian soil, if I was to propose for an alternative, would look like. And again, my past in Germany. But then I just want to take time and read this to you as my proposal, I guess. So, to ignore the crimes committed on behalf of different communist regimes around the world is to neglect and forget the millions of victims who died as a result of such politics. I understand why the NCC would like to move forward with the proposed monument and give the countless victims of communism a final resting place in our capital. However, I would like to posit the question, why not commemorate something particularly Canadian? But particularly if it is remembrance and forgiveness and solace from the nightmares, horrors, and altogether genocidal atrocities that we seek. Our nation suffers from selective amnesia and has forgotten sins committed against the indigenous peoples who founded this land, and in many cases helped European explorers to survive the harsh climate, only to be systematically slaughtered and culturally erased. I believe the true vision of a founding history should be commemorated more prominently than, say, the victims of communism. Again, it is a little vague, but I really think that to commemorate something either that challenges and confronts our past, or to commemorate something that I am affiliated with. So again, I will say the above mentioned argument I kept because I believe that one's most deserving of commemorated history are first and foremost the indigenous communities of this country. But just as Walter D. Mignolo puts it, he's a writer, the modern foundation of knowledge is territorial and imperial. By modern, we mean the socio-historical organization and classifications of the world founded on a macro-narrative and on the specific concept of principles of knowledge. As a Congolese, here's my flag, Congolese Canadian, I want to share my story not as a narrative concocted by certain epistemological perspective, where all other perspectives are either denied or expelled from the epistemic frontiers, but as my journey of experience to Canada, the land of refuge. The monument that I envisioned is unconventional in a sort, hence this video again. It is inspired by my reading of Michael Rothberg's article from Gaza to Warsaw, Mapping Multidirectional Memory, and Magnolo's theorizing from the border shifting to geo and body politics of knowledge. Rothberg invites one to reason what happens when different histories of extreme violence confront each other. When we mean different histories, like as an immigrant, I also have a colonial past with here King Leopold's ghost, with the countless cutting of hands for rubber that the colonizers came to the Congo. My forefathers suffered under the yoke of colonialism. But here I am in this country of Canada. And again, he says here to confront each other in the public sphere. Does the remembrance of one event erase the other from view? So here we could say, yes, that the indigenous people of this land were systematically targeted, systematically through aspect of genocide, of wiping them up and basically creating this Canadian country that we see, that I am part of it, that I believe in this system of multiculturalism, of the refuge that it had basically created for me to be here. So again, I will say that one thing that I need to remember is, if I may just read real quick here, it is to say that I feel like that the conversation is basically between either the victimizers and the perpetrator. Here we have Canada as a land of supposedly of colonial rule, of people coming here and creating this land like there was nobody else before. And now I'm coming to this land. I am systematically believing in this creation, this myth of this is also my land. But what about the indigenous people? Am I part of this new wave of rewriting history so that it may benefit me? Or do I even think about that to make this land that I call myself as a refuge, as a place where I can live? Do I even think about the other indigenous people? Or do I just feel like I ran away from home, I ran away from my country of origin because of the evil intended here, and I feel safe here? But again, one has to wonder, like it says here, to be a pacifist. Am I a pacifist in all of this? Is it because it was my ancestors that came into this country and destroyed this country? Am I not somehow involved through hypocrisy into this belief system? Here, Jean-Paul Sartre says something like this: the pacifists are a fine sight, he says. Neither victims nor torturers. Come now, he says, if you are not a victim when the government you have voted for and the army your young brother served commits genocide, without hesitation or remorse, then you are undoubtedly a torturer. If you choose to be a victim risking 1 or 2 days in prison, you are simply trying to take the easy way out. But you can't. There is no way out. Get this into your head. If violence were only a thing of the future, if exploitation and oppression never existed on earth, perhaps displays of nonviolence may relieve the conflict. But if the entire regime, even your non-violent thoughts, is governed by 1,000-year-old oppression, your passiveness serves no other purpose but to put you on the side of the oppressors. So again, to conclude here, I just wanted to talk about how I fit into this narrative, this Canadian narrative, I am the other that came into this country and believe, why is it a land of refuge? Why is my story more appropriate than maybe building a monument of communism to the victims of communism? How relatable is the victims of communism to me? How relatable am I to the narrative, to the story of the indigenous people? Again, here, while I believe that the way Mignola says it here, that border thinking theory is the epistemology of exteriority, that is, of the outside created from the inside, and such is always the colonial project. I propose to create a panel to commemorate the multi-directional memory of transnational remembrance by organizing an event where people from different walks of life will share their history and a particular attachment to this country. It will be an odyssey of collective memory, whereby we will venture to explore the memories of different individuals, like you can see here. Different individuals. This idea of different individuals that will constitute a building block of more themes of Canadian memory. This idea, I think, will not only make more sense, but it will not only give a voice to the different types of people that immigrated to Canada, but also address maybe the treatment of indigenous people suffered since colonialization, and shine a light to our proper way to accommodate the narrative of victims of communism in Canadian soil. So again, I tend, the material probably that I will use for my project is just the collective history or memories of my past till my journey here into Canada. Thanks again. I hope I was clear enough with my message.